equip the next generation of aviators. We achieve this by offering educational aviation seminars and tours to high school students. Our media channel, we provide our audience with relevant information on aviation filled through panel discussions, interviews with aviation professionals. We offer high school students the Junior Aviator course to broaden their understanding of aviation as well as increase their chances of getting into top aviation schools. We also offer Aviation Refresher and Advanced course on aviation topics. All our courses are carefully designed by aviation experts with international aviation qualifications in a wide range of aviation disciplines. The courses are designed to equip aviators with modern and relevant skills applicable in today's aviation world. Inspire, equip, empower, Flight Wings Aviation.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on whatever time zone you are joining us on. Welcome to the Big Sky, a show where we get to explore the unlimited possibilities of aviation with your host, Isaac Yami. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Yes, happy Thursday. Welcome back to the show, the weekly show. And like always, I always have a guest to share this moment and to learn and be educated. And if you're joining us for the first time, we are basically under Flight Wings Aviation, and we go by the three mantras: inspire, equip, and empower. We are an educational consultancy. Everything about aviation, Flight Wings Aviation is home. So, without wasting much time, today I'm going to be interviewing Miss Valent Manditsera. How are you, ma'am? Hello? Is she here? Miss Valent? Okay, whilst I wait for her her internet to be stable, basically season two, this is season two now. I mean, we've passed season one, and this season two we aim to cover a very much broader perspective. I mean, we just started last season, and this time around we are back in terms of trying to provide more depth in terms of what aviation would mean. And like I said, we're an educational consultancy, so basically our number one aim is to increase awareness of Aviation. And currently, we're running on a junior aviation course. One of the things that we do, we offer workshops. We offer workshops, and we offer courses as well. So right now we have a junior aviation course running up, and if you are interested in that, basically visit our website at flightwingsaviationglobal.com for free. There's everything that you need to learn about aviation, and we're making aviation easy. And today's guest is an aircraft engineer, specializing in avionics, and also an entrepreneur, a goal-oriented person. And she is self-motivated. She's a team player, and one of her biggest achievements she says is to be an engineer and to be a mom, and lastly to be an entrepreneur. So we are very quite excited. Um, as I wait for her to come, also feel free to use our comment section to engage as we go with the interview. And what I mean, engage everything that you need to know. I mean, it could be Flat Wings Aviation. You want to know everything about us, or you could aim at the interviewer if there's anything that you need to have clarified as well. So, so I hope you're all having a good time. Thursday, depending on whatever time zone you're watching us from. I am currently joining you from Cyprus, and it's an evening from where I am at this very point. So feel free to just share in the comment section where you're joining us from, and and one of the questions I always ask my guests, and I would love to ask you viewers as well, if you're an aviator or if you're an aspiring aviator, what does aviation mean to you? And great, there is Elijah Mandimika joining us from the Great Britain, the United Kingdom. So one of the questions that I usually enjoy asking people, what does aviation mean to people, and why it's a field that is worth exploring every single time.
Flight Wings Aviation is an organization whose sole purpose is to inspire and equip the next generation of aviators. We achieve this by offering educational aviation seminars and tours to high school students. Our media channel, we provide our audience with relevant information on aviation filled through panel discussions, interviews with aviation professionals. We offer high school students the Junior Aviator course to broaden their understanding of aviation as well as increase their chances of getting into top aviation schools. We also offer Aviation Refresher and Advanced course on aviation topics. All our courses are carefully designed by aviation experts with international aviation qualifications in a wide range of aviation disciplines. The courses are designed to equip aviators with modern and relevant skills applicable in today's aviation world. Inspire, equip, empower, Flight Wings Aviation.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi, Valent.
Sorry about that. Having a bit of a difficulty with the network.
I understand technology is not our friend sometimes. I mean, yeah, so I get it.
You know, right?
I know it very well, very well. But are you back? Are you back? Because people are waiting.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm back.
Awesome.
I'm back. I'm back.
So yeah, I had finished introducing you. Basically, how awesome you are,
All
how
right.
decorated you are.
All right.
so
Ah,
so it's now an opportunity to actually fulfill everything that I have said about you. So to kickstart tonight, thank you so much for people stuck around during
okay.
the technical problem. And I was telling our audience to use the comment section to tell us where they're joining us from. Are people joining us from Zimbabwe? Or people joining us from the UK? And
Thank you.
yeah, that's great. So moving on and progressing to what we have on the table today. So basically, I'd like you to first of all greet the audience, break a little bit of ice, and tell us slightly about yourself. Miss Valent, are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Isaac, for having me on your show. Greetings to everyone who is watching all over the world, wherever you are. My humble greetings to everyone who spare their time to take the opportunity to share this journey that we have. Yes, I can hear you, Isaac.
Awesome.
Hello?
Yes, I
Can
can. I
you hear
can
me?
perfectly. I can. So I'd say like introduce yourself briefly, just to put people on a level playing field before we start getting into the deeper thrust and the deeper um, aspects of the conversation
Okay.
tonight. Yeah.
All right. So, once again, welcome to everyone. And thank you, Isaac, for having me on your show today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, first of all, I'd love to just kickstart with your study background. What did you study initially, and where you are in terms of your education? I mean, I know they say education is the key, so I want to understand how did you get your key, and where did you start off from?
Okay, Isaac. Well, basically, I used to fix everything at home. So, growing up, I wanted to be someone who fixes anything that I see lying around. So, initially, I skilled education. I went to spaces and I did electrical engineering, majoring in installations for houses, industries. So, when I saw an advert in the paper about aircraft engineering, then I was like, okay, growing up, I wanted to be an air hostess. So, aviation, really, I really wanted to be there. I really wanted to be one of the aviators, either as an air hostess or an engineer. Then I landed the aviation. the engineering department. So this is me. This is where I came from, and this is where I am today. And after I started my program, my engineering program, I was thinking to myself, okay, I did electrical engineering in the beginning. So which trade will suit me, and which trade will suit a person like me, being they think lifting stuff is very difficult. But for us in the aviation industry, it's not that difficult. Then I decided to join the route of avionics. So avionics, I'm majoring in electrics, radios, and instruments. So this is where I am now.
Oh, um, you said you were an avid fixer in your house. I mean, you you used to fix things. What did you used to fix? I mean, like I want to know what exactly were you fixing when you were young?
It was my job to fix it, be the doorknobs, the irons, anything that needed to be fixed, like anything that wanted hands on. I was their guy, and I'm still their guy.
Where were you getting this knowledge? I mean, how could you fix things at a very tender young age? I mean,
I think this is just something that is in me. Like, yeah, I think it's in me. Like growing up, I didn't have all the knowledge. Like, how am I supposed to fix this? But from the general science at school, you learn one or two things, then you put it into action. Because I used to experiment. Like, when you're doing physics, you always experiment after school. You're supposed to experiment at home to see if it works, if it really works.
oh, is it? There's a reason why I asked this question because one of the targeted people we are aiming to inspire, equip, and empower are basically young people. So you could have that neck of trying to fix things, and it could be something that you can follow up and then eventually become something that's very inspiring in the community, or very inspiring to yourself as well. So you mentioned this gap, or this journey of you from fixing things to um learning engineering, and then where you are at this very point. But why the specificness of avionics? I know you like fixing things, but the specificness of why did you settle for avionics?
To be honest, avionics is the smartest department in aviation. So being a lady, you wouldn't want to be like, oh, Greece. So I chose avionics.
Oh, And for people who are joining us for the first time who have no idea what avionics is, how could you explain it in the most simplest form to a very layman person? What is avionics basically?
Okay, avionics is just a combination of electrics, instruments, and radios on the aircraft.
Ah, interesting. So, as you mentioned, avionics is one of the smartest. I'm not going to stay up a conversation of which part of aviation is not the smartest,
Yes.
but I want to understand, what does aviation mean to you basically? Like, having done this, what does it mean to you? Aviation, what does it mean to you? Is she still there? Valent?
Hmm?
Miss Valent, are
Yeah,
you still there?
connect.
I have to say, internet is very jealous at this very point. But yeah, Miss Valent, are we still there? Hello?
Hello, Isaac.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Awesome. I say it. Yeah, I say internet is very jealous today.
Do you
Um,
see?
it's very jealous today, and I want to apologize as well to our viewers. This was totally unforeseen, so yeah, bear with us kindly. Are we back? Are you back?
Yes, I am.
Yes. So right before the break, I was asking you why avionics, and then you mentioned something to do with how it's one of the most intellectual, smartest division in aviation, and we were now transitioning to then what does aviation mean to you as a person who's an aviator? Is this just a job, or there is more to it for you? Take us through that. Give us something heartwarming. What does aviation mean to you?
To me, aviation is a journey that needs strong people, strong-willed people, and because working with aircrafts, those are the most delicate mode of transportation around. So you need to be as careful as you can. You need to be as precise as you can in terms of fixing everything. So for me, aviation is just the best. Like you have the opportunity to express yourself in terms of being patient. Because if you're not patient in aviation, you will not make it because you have a lot of hurdles that you face in aviation. And taking you back a bit, like during training, the things that you go through, like the training that you go through, pays to have when you want to be an aviator.
Oh, okay. And can you be an aviator but not being passionate about aviation? Could it be a thing? Do you think that combination could actually exist? I know how people go to jobs that they don't love, but specifically for aviation, do you think passion and passion passion and passion of not wanting it and just doing it, do you think it exists in aviation? And why? Because the reason obviously I would ask this is because maybe an individual, young individual, is going to bump into this interview and is on a crossroad of trying to figure if they should do aviation or not, and what could be the reasons and why someone could just do aviation and not be passionate about it.
Okay, for most people, they would want to be in aviation for the money and not for the passion. Because, truth being said, aviation pays. Like, you really get paid big time in aviation. But if you get in for the money, you'll be disappointed because you need to work for the money. You need to be passionate about what you do. You need to be patient when fixing aircraft. So for me, I think you just need to be passionate about the industry. You need to love what you want to do, the journey, because this is a lifetime career. It's not something that you just start and you drop along the way. It's something that you're taking until maybe your time of retirement. So if you want to take it that far, you need to be passionate about it. You can't just be in there for the money.
Interesting. I like the fact you say that aviation pays. I mean, I'm tempted to think how much does it pay, but I mean, okay, I will not force your hand on saying that as well. But if I'm to humor you, if aviation
Mhm.
wasn't the career, what could it have been? Like what else was on the sidelines in terms of your career, basically. And the reason being as well is because um, there was young people basically who are trying to make a decision if this is it or whatsoever. Um, if it wasn't aviation, what else could you have done?
I was going to be an electrical engineer. That was me. I wanted to be like I started um, doing electrical engineering. Then I moved to aviation. So my passion was or is still in the engineering department. So if it
Oh,
wasn't for aviation that came, I was going to be an electrical engineer. That was me.
interesting. So, in line to that, what's your biggest achievement within aviation, or what do you intend to still achieve? Before we talk about something else, because right now we're about to switch the conversation a little bit. But I mean, in terms of aviation itself, um, what's your biggest achievement, and what are your goals in terms of if you haven't reached that achievement, let's say per se, but if you have, I mean, share with us the experience of being an aviator, apart from then learning and all of these things, but
Uh,
the experience of the career itself.
mhm. For me, it has given me the opportunity to explore, to see places, because in my line of field, we will get recoveries to never been to, especially here in Zimbabwe. We go like my in my own experience, um, what I have achieved in aviation is being the person that I am today, uh, having the courage that I have today to face whatever comes my way, because the industry itself, it gives you that push that you're not going to be that person who is just light-hearted, that people can just walk over you. I gained confidence in myself, and that alone, it has taken me from a level that I didn't think I was going to be at. Looking at me today, the Valen that I was uh, 10 years back is not the Valen that I am today, because the industry has taught me a lot. And I am proud to say that aviation rocks. It has given me this opportunity, to be sharing my story with the whole world. It's not an experience that everybody has. It's not an opportunity that everyone gets. But because of the level that I have attained in my career, in my life, I am grateful and I am happy to say I have at least achieved something. I know I'm going to make one or two ladies really enjoy being in the industry, because it is a male dominated industry, and females up to today, they're not looked up to in aviation. We just still been given that name that you are women, you can't do men's jobs, you know. So having that in mind and actually doing something that men can do, I can, I can do the engine removal. Yes, I'm not engines and airframes, but I can do the engine removal process. To me, it's an achievement, because back then I wouldn't have the courage to do that. I wouldn't have the guts to soldier on to something as difficult as that. So for me, I have traveled this journey. It's an achievement on its own, from where I was to where I am today.
Oh, um, I'm a Christian. I was about to say amen, but needless it be. I mean, that was powerful, and then the way you explain the journey, and I like the fact that is this is intertwined. It's
I was
intertwined with
preaching,
you.
right?
Yes, yes. I was about to say continue. I was feeling the church vibe. Not like it's a bad thing, but I felt the upliftment and then the encouraging words as well. So you mentioned how you mentioned of how you were I think the transition of you being a Valent of some sort and then now you're a Valent of this sort.
Thank
So
you.
it's like caviar a little bit. We're gonna move into your other I don't know your other I don't want to say your other guilty pleasure because it's taking you slightly away from
Mhm.
aviation. You are also an entrepreneur. Let's talk about that. You're also an entrepreneur. Let's talk about that. And you currently have a kitchenware business going on. What's that all about? And you're still doing avionics. Share with us how you've been able to juggle that and how it's important to also have maybe a multiple line of income considering COVID happened. Can you share with us this wisdom?
Something that I would do to get to earn a living for my family because I'm a family woman. I have kids, I have a husband, we've got duties. You really need to have cash inflow. So I just thought to myself, why don't I look for something else to do other than wait for this salary that is not coming because of COVID? That's when I started my journey into kitchenware. I started with just selling plates. So it was like, okay, I saw these beautiful plates and I was like, these I'm just going to take them. So I take them, put them in my house. Then my friends came over. They're like, we really need these plates. I was okay. I'm going to sell them to you. How much are you willing to buy? They're like, we really need these plates. I was okay. I'm going to sell them to you. How much are you willing to buy? That's how it started. I just put them in my pile, Then here I am today. I have grown my business. It's doing very well. More than what aviation is giving me. So this is something that I'm not going to let go any minute. It is something that I would encourage everyone who's working. You really need a side hustle because if the worst happens, you get retrenchment from work. What is going to be your fallback plan? You need a fallback plan. So, me being me, I thought this is the perfect opportunity to start my business. And starting it now, it will give me more time to build it and it will give me more income along with my aviation income. So that's how I started doing it. It's very easy. Aviation during the week, Monday to Friday, then kitchenware during the weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. You are a very resourceful woman from your speech. I mean how you then started this other side the side hustle, you say. And I'm proud, and I'm proud that it's working out well. It's great,
Yes.
and and I want you to take us through when COVID hit. Like, what was going through your mind? Because aviation was one of those industries that was really affected. Take us through what was going through your mind, and then eventually, of course, your entrepreneurial roots grew. But tell us about the experience itself. What was going through your mind when aviation was under attack from the deadly virus?
That was the most depressing moment in my life. I wasn't going to work. There was no work. There was no income. And you were just supposed to be indoors. You're not used to waking up early in the morning, going for work, and my normal routine, of going to work, picking up the kids, coming back home, it was affected. And I was on the verge of losing it. That's when it kicked me. It hit me that I should do something to occupy myself. Because if I hadn't started the kitchenware business, maybe I would have been in hospital as we're talking right now. Because it was a moment that just came unexpectedly. You know how COVID came. We were not prepared for it. And we did not we haven't saved up. We hadn't saved up for COVID because we didn't know we're going to be facing anything of that sort. So when it came, it really destroyed me, um like emotionally, because I was not expecting it. And you know how it affected everyone, especially our industry, because all the flights were cancelled, everything, all the planes were grounded. There was nothing to maintain, there was nothing to fix, there was nothing, it was just quiet. It was just like we don't exist anymore. But we really wanted, like, we really wanted to be at work, and you can't be at work because of the pandemic. So the way it hit so hard that if you did not think of doing something else, surely most people passed on because of depression last year, because they lost their jobs unexpectedly, and not having a fallback plan, mainly, was the reason for so many lives that we lost last year. So I think the my side hustle helped me to resuscitate myself and to fight this virus as it came, to us.
Interesting how you open about how you also got into depression, and one of the things that I do discuss with my guests most of the time is aviation industry for years had seemed as if it's untouchable only until then now. So that drastic change has its own effects, and for a young
Hmm.
individual who's deciding
Yes.
to embark in this journey, obviously having to be in a lockdown and experiencing COVID would get people to rethink their course and everything. But everything doesn't remain the same. I mean, things progress. I do believe aviation will and is coming back. So this lines up to my next question. What do you think the future of aviation
Hmm.
holds?
Hmm.
In all of these that has happened, what do you think the future of
It is.
aviation holds? And this is specifically your perspective. It might not be. I really want your perspective. Where do you see the future of aviation, and how? Where and how, and what do you think is going to happen?
you, Isaac, this one because with what happened with COVID, we are not guaranteed of having everything that we hope to achieve because as it is now, it is starting to resuscitate. And we're looking forward to having all those people that were home to get back their jobs. But the future is not um, it's not guaranteed. But what I hope is going to happen to aviation is we're going to grow and having all those measures that are going to help us in terms of the growth in maintenance, aviation, in terms of growth, because where we were in the past 5 years, aviation wise, is not where we are today. We're developing, we're making all the necessary, arrangements for aviation to be the safest it has been because of late we've been having so many incidences. So, with the knowledge that I have and what I've seen people from all different nations doing in terms of aviation, aviation is going to the next level. And the level that it was, I tell you, in the next 5 years, we'll be talking a different story in the aviation industry.
Oh, interesting. It's interesting you decided to focus on the next 5 years. So as we get closer to the end of the show, um, I always ask my guests to imagine this. I mean, one of our main targets in terms of inspiring, equipping, and empower are young people. And I mean young people, not young people, but young people. Let's say, for instance, let's say maybe 6 year old. No, not 6 year old. Let's say maybe grade six. I think was that grade six is like 12 years old or 10, 11. What would you tell someone of that age who wants to be an aviator at that young age? What kind of advice can you
Yes,
give to young
11,
people?
12 years old.
Especially young people. I really want the young people effect. Like, what will you tell them in terms of avionics? Like, advice. I'm the 11-year-old right now. Wow me, dazzle me. I'm listening.
I'll kill you with information as 11-year-old, my man. I won't be able to hold it back when it starts coming. But what I can tell young individuals is avionics is the, I would say, the backbone of aviation in terms of maintenance, because I'm talking of the electrics. This is the startups, the landings, the taking offs of the aircraft. I'm talking the communication, the navigation of the aircraft. So these are the things that give you direction where you are, where you're going, So what you just want to do is pay so much attention to, because missing one digit will cause the plane to crash. So you need to be as detailed as you can, and always know your manuals. Always go with the paperwork, because we have a mantra that says paperwork. Everything that you do, go back to the paperwork. It tells you what you are supposed to do. We don't work off head. We use our manuals, we use our guides, so that we have the safest mode of transportation in the world. So anyone who wants to venture into avionics, you really need to be patient. You really need to be precise. And you're supposed to be that person who doesn't cram things. but who reads to know and understand what you're supposed to be doing.
The 11-year-old in me has been dazzled. I mean, read your manuals. Don't be reckless. This is someone's life. This is something
Yes.
that's very, very important. Uh, our previous guest actually mentioned something to do with precision and how the manual is really, really important. And
Mm.
I'm glad you also
Mhm.
re-emphasized it. And to the young ones out there, continuously dream, imagine. Nothing is really, really too big, and dedication. And as she says, I think the concern of
Okay.
saving lives is really, really a reason to carefully do your aviation with conciseness and perfection. So, thank you so much, Madam Valent, for joining the show on a Thursday on the 20th of October at this very particular time, wherever, whenever, in different time zones. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in, who watched the show now, and who's going to watch the show later on. Feel free, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends about aviation, and tell them there's something happening. It's called Big Sky, where we get to explore the unlimited possibilities of aviation. So, back to you, Madam Valent. Any last words? I don't know, any socials where people can follow your aviation journey. If you do have, if you don't have, I recommend you to start one. Are you still there?
Hey, Isaac, any social media platform, but it is in the pipeline very soon. I'll be having my Instagram handle, page, so that everybody who is in aviation will be able to see, because this is the journey that we really want everybody to know, to follow, and to understand what really happens in aviation. So thank you so much for having me today. Thank you for today's show. I'm really glad I was here today, even though the network had a bit of challenges, but we're grateful to God for the grace of life. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Thank you so much. Again, it was a pleasure having you on the show, and it was a pleasure having you viewers as well. So, like I said, like, subscribe, do all the cool stuff, share, and from Flight Wings Aviation Team, the Big Sky, equip, inspire, and power. Your host is Isaac Yami, and you were watching episode 4 of the season 2 of Big Sky, and the guest was Valent. So, have a pleasant good evening, morning, whatever zone you're in. We appreciate you. From the team, bye for now.